And Begg, it's great that you could join us today to discuss in sickness and in health. But what kinds of things do you think need to happen to create a healthier workplace in the UK?
There's the obvious things in terms of quick access to NHS treatment, making sure that people can have access to their doctors, making sure people have access to occupational health services. But I think employers can do quite a lot, because at the moment, or there has been a tendency in the past, that if someone presents with a serious or potentially chronic health problem, the first thing the employer thinks of is getting rid of the person by paying them off or giving them, retiring them through an ill health pension. And so the chance of actually working with them to turn what may be or managing a health problem, so that because people do live with chronic health problems, I do myself, and they never get the chance to do that, so they find themselves out of the workplace. It's then very, very difficult for them to get back into work.
So what would you say is the key to actually keeping people in work and getting the best out of them?
I think if you've got a sympathetic employer who actually understands that just because someone has an ill health incident or episode, that is not the end of the person's working life. If they've got good access to occupational health in the workplace, or at least they can source it for their employee, the employee that again has good NHS treatment, but actually realising that perhaps with an introduction of flexible working or changing the working environment, that individual can continue to be a worthwhile and a productive member of staff, rather than just thinking the first thing you should do is actually to give someone ill health retirement. I think that's bad for the individual, because it's very hard for them then to get other work or get back into work. But it's also bad for business, because they're going to have to go through the whole process of recruiting someone and training someone new, and it's a way of keeping experienced staff. I think there has to be trust between an employee and an employer. If an employee thinks that their employer might try to ease them out, particularly if it's a mental health problem, which is quite stigmatising anyway, then they're not going to trust the employer to actually say, look, I have this problem, or I have a problem with my mental health, I need these changes, these adaptations done. An employee who has confidence that the first reaction of their employer is not to say, well, if you can't do the job, you're no use to me, but actually thinks, right, let's see how we can work together in order to facilitate a continuation of the work. And I know that there has been some pilot work being done working with employers and individuals to try and make sure that they can keep them in the workplace, particularly when it's something like mental health problems, because people do get better. They have episodes, but they will come through that, and they'll come through it with the right support, with a sympathetic employer. And the employer is the one who will then benefit, because they will keep a good member of staff.
And finally, how do you see the role of the health and safety professional in all of this?
The health and safety professional is the one that can act as the conduit between the employer and the employee. They are the people that actually can facilitate the understanding, can facilitate the coming together. They can also do the assessment as to what needs to change, what adaptations might need to happen, what might be best for this individual in terms of changing their working practices. They are the ones that have that kind of expertise. They are the ones that can hopefully come up with a solution that will satisfy both the employee and the employer.
And Begg MP, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.